Hey, it's Monday, and we have a new theme song, at least for this episode.
Welcome, ladies and gents, to the Monday Ask a Traffic Cop show. We've been off the weekend, but now we're ready to go. Got questions about the roads, the lanes, and the lights? Well, hold on tight, there's no need to fight. Sean is here with knowledge to share, and Marie's the sergeant that cares. We're here to keep you in the know about traffic safety and the laws of the road. Answering your questions like our tinted windows and modified exhaust is legal. Well, that depends on how much you can legally speed. No, you can't legally speed. So join us now for this traffic journey. We'll guide you through, no need to worry. Just type in your questions and wait for a bit, don't be a jerk. It takes some time to get to you, that's how it works. So let's get on with the show, with the people in the know.
I'm having too much fun. Like I said, that was Suno. If I forgot to hit my caption that said that they did the intro, because they did do the intro. But we're developing skills and abilities in managing AI to get that to sound the way it did. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, just like the song said. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, well, just about all the time. And I'm really happy that you're joining us today. I'm looking forward to whatever kind of questions you can throw our way. I see folks coming into the chat, like Lucas, who says, "Good morning, kind sir," and a user who has no name, just emoji, says good morning. Dalaga says good morning. Crazy Mucka says, "What's up?" People are coming in, and that's great. Let's see if our feed is not working. The interface, we're having problems, and it might be an issue with. Well, it's probably we're gonna think it's timing. Maybe it'll get better as we go. But we use something called Restream. Restream has been great at connecting the chat, but for the last couple of days, it's not been working. I mean, couple of days being Thursday of last week and Monday today. If you're watching us, you're probably watching on one of the following platforms, because we are on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, Kick and Twitter. Did I say Kick twice? I don't know. We are on Twitter, which is called X, and X does have the ability to connect with us. Let's give that one a test, because I like to make sure stuff is working. We're going to go in. I'm going to turn the volume down so we don't get the... And there we go here. Hello there. Let's see. Hello there. That's not hello. Hello. Yeah, and it's working. So if you are watching on TikTok and you want to ensure that you can actually get your messages heard, and jump over, go to youtube.TrafficCop.ca. That will bring you over to our YouTube page. If you jump over to Traffic Services on Twitter, you can join us there. I love TikTok, I really do. But when things aren't working, I want to make sure you get the best possible interface and experience. And the way to do that is to go to YouTube. So if you're watching, thanks for joining us. Let me change the background, because I want to remind everybody that after the show is done, I download it. And what do I do once I download it? I post it up in these places like Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, and Spotify. In fact, you can watch it on Spotify on rerun. You can watch it on YouTube as a rerun. But it's really cool that you can synchronize your devices to take the audio and or video and put it on your device, so when you're watching it, you're not burning data. I'm a big proponent of saving your data. Data can be expensive. Things are expensive in general today. So if you want to conserve your data, synchronize and watch it later, or listen to the audio while you're driving. Now, if you're listening to the audio only, obviously that's legal, and we want you to be legal. We want you to be safe. We're talking about traffic safety and traffic law, and having somebody breaking the law by watching us on the screen, not what we're after. But that's another story. Michael is talking to, who's Michael talking? We got messages from Michael. We got Paul, who says, "Hi, Sean. Good morning, all." Jordan, who says, "Good morning, Sean." Good morning to you, Jordan. Tian, who says, "Good morning, everybody." Tim Shallow says, Good morning, everybody. And I see Samuel moved over because I saw your question on TikTok. But what is this? Can I drive an AZ licensed truck with a G license? I hope it's not a serious question. No, if you have an AZ truck, the only way to drive with a G is if you're being supervised by an instructor, someone who's got an AZ license and is supervising you. But no, you cannot drive an AZ licensed truck with a G license other than being instructed. Okay, we got some questions coming in from YT. And Tweep says, good morning, fellow Earthlings. Good morning. Brandon says, good morning. He's coming in from Facebook and says, good morning, all. Let's have an awesome day. I'm all about awesome days. And this is the first day of a short week. There's no Friday episode because Friday and Monday, we got holiday weekend, long weekend. So Monday to Thursday, we'll do shows, and then we'll be off the air for 4 days, which is all good. So much to talk about. Let's start with Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are the magical folks who, they go out and change driver behavior one ticket at a time. I talk about the education side of things, and that's my bag. That's what I do. But when education, doesn't cover it all, and it rarely does cover it all, then we talk about education through enforcement. It's one ticket could change your life. Now, yes, getting a ticket sucks, but maybe that'll change the way you go about doing things the next time. Certainly worked for me when I was a young man. I got a ticket for running a stop sign, and I got a ticket for speeding. Both of those were those two were the last two tickets I ever got, and for good reason. I changed the way I drove. Now, what do we focus on? We're looking at the big four: speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Those are the behaviors that we know lead to serious injury and death on our roads. So we work very, very aggressively to change that behavior. We don't want it. And being that today is the 25th of March, we have Vision Zero enforcement officers who are working in 32 Division and 42 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Scarborough, and they're looking for you. If you're choosing to break the law, they will likely find you. Now, that does not mean that these are the only officers in the city that are out there trying to make a difference. Officers anywhere in the city of Toronto could be laying charges for driving offenses, so stay off your phones, don't speed, do the right thing. It could make a difference to you. Because, you could avoid a ticket, but you could also save a life. You never know. There's a lot of tragedy. Last year, we lost 45 people to collisions, lives lost to collisions. And those are lives that could have been spared because no collision is an oopsie-doo. It's not an accident. It's based on driver behavior and other behavior as well. But, if you change your behavior, you can avoid those collisions. They're all avoidable, and they're certainly all unacceptable. Okay, a two-part question. So YT wants to know, let's see here. If there's a collision where one side is 100% at fault, but they are very insistent and lie to police about the circumstances to hopefully get out of being held responsible. Part two. If they are proven wrong by dash cam, is there additional charges for making false statements? Or is there nothing to lose when making a false statement about a collision? Well, obviously, if they're lying to police in an investigation, that's an issue. If they're perjuring themselves on the stand, that's a problem. Will people, or is it possible that people have an independent recollection that varies from the truth? That is possible. So very often, two people will have very differing or different opinions as to what happened because half of them, or if not both of them, were off in their own little world. They were focused on what they were focused on, completely unaware of what else was happening. And very often, both parties involved in a collision are shocked when they see the video. So could there be charges laid? Potentially. Are there usually charges laid? I would say rarely, if ever, are charges laid, unless it was actually substantiated that there was the intention to lie as opposed to just misrecollect. Is that a good word? Recollect incorrectly. I don't know. Their memory was different, and that's usually where things land or finish. Interesting question, though. I'd love to know more about the story that got you there. If you are asking questions, well, that's wonderful. That's what we're all about. But please put a letter Q in front of your question so that I know it's a question as opposed to just chat, banter, and whatnot. And actually, let me while I'm here, I'm going to give a quick shot to try and reset the chat because I want it to work. I really do. Stand by. Go to the bot. This is the trick that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. All right. It might start working. It might have just jump-started that chat. Different than jumpstart my heart. Okay. Jake Costa says, good morning, Sean. Please talk about move over law for emergency vehicles. So emergency vehicles, I'm glad you asked this, is emergency vehicles and the law surrounding protecting police, fire, ambulance, and tow trucks that have their emergency equipment on, those flashing lights on top of their vehicles. Well, there is a law in the books that says you got to slow down and move over. Now, I rarely have the desire to open this up and read directly, but I'm going to today because somehow I feel motivated to do that. So slow down. All right, $490 ticket, 3 demerit points. Upon approaching an emergency vehicle with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of red light or red and blue light, or a tow truck with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of amber light that is stopped on a highway, the driver of a vehicle traveling on the same side of the highway shall slow down and proceed with caution, having due regard for traffic on the conditions and the conditions of the highway. Boy, I should have started this fresh. Having due regard for traffic on and the conditions of the highway and the weather to ensure that the driver does not collide with the emergency vehicle or tow truck or endanger any person outside of the emergency vehicle or tow truck. It basically says slow down. Now, more specifically, if there's an available lane, you have to change lanes into it. If there's no available lane, then you need to slow down. That does not mean going slower to the speed limit. If you were speeding, it does not mean go 10 under. It means slow down and be safe. That could mean very different things to different people, but I can tell you from our perspective, it means use caution, go slow, and be safe. And if we determine that you're not, expect to be pulled over and charged. Yeah. It's all about keeping the people who work on the street to keep you safe so they can keep helping other people. Let's see here. Is the maximum distance one is allowed to travel in a diamond lane before making a right turn, or what? Oh, is there a maximum distance? Would a single intersection be a certain number of meters? So the way that I've always measured it and is simply that if you enter it, you cannot cross the next intersection. So you can't enter a diamond lane and then continue past the next intersection. That's how if you did, that was sufficient evidence for me to show that you were misusing it. And if you turned at a driveway beforehand or at the intersection, I accepted that as proper use. But that was my interpretation, and it may be different for other people. They'll make their own determination. Someone on Twitch wants to promote us. That's wonderful, but we don't actually hire people to promote us. We are all about organic reach. All right, I'm going to go into checking out the folks on TikTok because for whatever reason, it's not working properly. And it's still not working, even though I've tried to reboot it. The future law one says, hello, Sean. Hello back. We got Nathan who says, good morning. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I did. I had a bit of a long weekend because I had something on Friday that took me away from work. And now, so I had a short week last week, a short week this week, and a short week next week. I am looking forward to these long weekends and enjoying the one that I just had, or enjoyed the one I just had. Okay. Blue followed us. Thanks so much. Peck followed us. Ahmed followed us. Scotty Boy followed us. All these people following us. Thanks very much. If you would be so kind on TikTok, please like the video, tap on the screen, brings more people to the party. And we're all about bringing good information to people. If you're watching, and I can see that, let's see here, we've got 50-ish people on, well, we've got, about 50-ish people on different channels on X, because we have people who are watching on VoiceOver Cop, other people watching on Traffic Services. We got a bunch of people watching on YouTube. Wherever you are, please like and follow and subscribe or whatnot. Share the link, retweet if you're on the Twitter sphere, and of course, please share the live if you're on TikTok. All about sharing information, helping more people. That's what we're about. Helping everybody. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff all the time. My goal is to make the roads safer through education because I don't go on the road anymore. I don't do the enforcement thing. If I did, lots of tickets would be issued. Different form of education. Oh, well, Dominic has a question. No, that's not Dominic's question. That's our automated message about putting the letter Q in there. Okay. Dominic wants to know if it's legal to stick e-bike plate on a motorized scooter. I'm seeing many on motorized scooters. Obviously not legal. E-bike requirements state that they must be electric powered. They must not have a motor more than 500 watts in power output. They have to have a maximum speed on a flat surface of 32 kilometers an hour. Can't be capable. That means that you can't have a switch that says, okay, while we're driving on the street, we're 32 kilometers an hour, but when we go off-road, we flip a switch and it does 80, because that happens too. That's just a motorcycle that's going slow. People say, well, why isn't that legal? I say, well, what if you drive your Tesla at 32 kilometers an hour? Does it magically stop being a car? No, it's still a car. Well, anything capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour is a motor vehicle. In fact, it's a motorcycle when it's an e-bike. And 32 kilometers an hour is the maximum capable speed on flat surface in order for it to be a e-bike. Now, when you're talking about weight, 120 kilos is the maximum weight. There's a bunch of other things like you have to wear a helmet, but absolutely illegal to take a plastic sign, because it's not a license plate, it's a sign from a manufacturer or a dealer, and stick it in there and fraudulently misrepresent your motorcycle as something that it isn't. So I like the idea of people doing that, only because I'd like to lay every charge under the sun against them. What are the charges? Well, essentially, you're looking at I'm assuming unregistered motorcycle or motor vehicle on the road, so no plate, no permit, probably no license, definitely no insurance. The insurance is going to be $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 5 years. No, 5 years, that would be amazing. Up to 6 months in jail. But yeah, that's sort of where we're at. Totally illegal, and I've seen it too. I saw someone riding a moped on the sidewalk, two persons on it, neither of whom were wearing helmets. So does it happen? Happens every day. Are people getting caught? Yeah, we're catching them too. Not all of them, but the ones who haven't been caught just haven't been caught yet. Okay, let's get to some more questions that I see here. Blue, thank you. Oh, we already talked about Blue. We got a question here. I'll take it over here and cut and paste the question into the chat so I can share it for all to see. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. The question is, should I leave my keys at my front door for when criminals break into my house? That is advice that's been making everybody crazy. They think this is wild and crazy stuff. I think it's good advice. The Toronto Police has made this advice available for a long time. We used to say hide the keys, and the problem with that is people break in, then they go drag you out of bed at gunpoint and say, give us the keys, at which point you do. It's no different than when people carjack you and come with a knife or a gun and say, get out of the car, we're taking your car. We say give them that because your safety is what's important. Your vehicle is insured. Now, does it sound backwards? For a second, it does. But it's actually really good advice, because the advice is all about keeping you safe. So whether you do that or don't do that, it's up to you. It's certainly what I do. Okay. Sven has an update. What is Sven saying? Let's put it up on the screen. Had a guy last week, gave him a ticket, and he thanked me and said he will slow down. Well, Sven is making a difference, because he's a member of our unit and an awesome dude who makes a difference. One ticket at a time, sometimes several tickets at a time. Chaos has a question in French. I do not speak French, so I cannot help you. If someone speaks French and wants to translate what Chaos wrote, feel free, let me know, and I'll try and do my best to come back to it. Boy Mom says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you too. Kay says, good morning. Good morning back at you. Let's see here. Oh, a whole bunch of stuff just popped in. Well, we're once again taking it slow. Why? Because TikTok and the wonderful folks at Restream are not communicating well today. How was your weekend, by the way? I mean, I talked about my weekend. How was your weekend? Did anyone brave Costco? I went to Costco. It's a busy joint on the weekend. I really miss shift work for that reason. Lane wants to know about joining the police service. We can talk about that. In fact, we often do. I'm looking forward to see what civilian opportunities are available as well. I met with some folks last night, and one of them asked about IT jobs. And they do that. We hire those kind of people too. Is there any law that prevents people from driving after a certain age? We can talk about that. What is the speed that you guys can pursue a vehicle that is running? We're allowed to go as fast as we have to go. But we can talk about that in a second. And since I'm cutting and pasting a bunch of questions, if you've got questions, please feel free to ask them. That's what we're here for. It's a show about, questions. If you don't ask them, we never hear them. What is this? Can I drive with pink headlights running on my car? That's Colton wanting to know. Emma answered, but I'll answer for all to see in one moment. Actually, why don't we put that one on the screen right now? Colton wants to know again, can I drive with pink headlights running on my car? And the answer is no. The only light you're legally permitted to project forward on your vehicle is white and amber. If it's not white and amber, it's illegal, and you can get a ticket for $110, and that's it. That's the story. You can't tint them. You can't put lids on them. Like some people used to put plastic covers on them. That's prohibited. There's actual laws about that. Yeah. All right. We got... okay, we got... Colton says, whoops, let's hope they never notice. Oddly enough, I'm seeing more and more people with different colors headlights, and we absolutely notice. York Regional Police posted a whole bunch of people being stopped for that. Graham's mama says good morning, or it just says morning. Good morning to you. Brady says, why is that? We don't know what that's about. Probably back and forth with somebody else. We have a question about window tint. It's one of those questions. Okay. Do I want to cut and paste? Do I want to cut and paste more? We talked about this. We already got a flag. Can I drive a bicycle on the highway? Zuko wants to know. It's a really simple answer. The answer is no. Hey, Dominic has another question. Okay, flag that for, we'll deal with that in just a second. And Aran wants to know about misdemeanors and felonies. We'll talk about that. That's an interesting question from one of our American friends. And we do have many American friends. We are a show that is watched internationally. While most of our audience is in the United States and Canada, well, Canada then the United States, we have people all over, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. Truly an international show. We've had folks watching from Ireland. Like, it's amazing. So nice when people reach out, many of whom are police officers and civilians and people who like to travel. So regardless of the reason, regardless of the reason, we're glad to have you. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always good to know and always curious to hear about where everybody's coming from. I'm a big-time traveler. I say big time. I like to travel. Question from Colton, who has pink headlights, now wants to know about underglow. Okay. Okay, what's this? Boom, boom, boom. I love the people who miss it. So in discussion with the folks, in the discussion about the keys, we talked about the fact that leaving it at the front door is some good advice, because that way the hopes is people breaking into the house will take the keys and leave, as opposed to drag you out of bed at gunpoint, because that happens. Farah says, yeah, I'll leave my door open too. Obviously, that's not good advice. But I like how people twist it. Like, if you want to do what you want to do, just know that you deal with the consequences of it. Like, it's all advice to keep you safe. Cars can be replaced. You can't. There's only one of you. Your family's important. Yeah. Ryan wants to know if you can defend yourself if someone's attacking you. Absolutely. Criminal Code of Canada allows you to use force to protect yourself or the life of another, and you can use as much force as necessary. Now, you got to know that you're criminally responsible for excessive force, but you can do what you need to do to defend yourself. That's not defending your car. It's not defending your keys. It's about defending people, life. Okay. Let me go back because I've got a bunch of stuff that I said I would talk about. I flagged it and I kept cutting and pasting. So we've talked about Dominic's question about e-bikes already. Now we'll go into, we talked about this. There we go. What's the best way to go about applying for the Toronto Police Service? So I'm going to do a quick little thing about joining the Toronto Police Service because we have the technology. I can share with you my screen and a link that will get you some great information. Here we go. Go to www.tps.ca/careers. And when you get there, it'll look a lot like this. In terms of becoming a police officer, go under the police constable tab, and then you can see this button for apply now. That is the how to actually apply. It's all done online. You don't have to have that book of paper that I submitted. Now, what you should know in advance of that is everything on this page, and probably take a tour of the entire Toronto Police website. Get to know stuff. Also, speak to police officers. There's nothing wrong with seeing an officer and saying, "Hey, would you mind if I spoke to you a little bit about the job?" Get an idea of what you're getting into. If you're taking a law enforcement course, you've got instructors that are probably retired police officers. Speak to them, but know some stuff before you actually go through the application process. And then finally, before you submit your application, or maybe as you're going through your journey of knowledge, reach out to one of the officers that are recruiters, because they are going to give you help. Their goal is to help you get hired. Now, I talk about employment careers and specifically police constable, but there's other job opportunities. If you're watching and you're not interested in becoming a police officer, but special constable, parking enforcement officer, communications operator, these are other jobs. And we have other jobs because, like I said last night, someone asked me about civilian positions, and there's currently 6 posted. We've got employee service representative. I don't know what that means, but it's here, and if you click on it, you'll get descriptions as to what it is. Well, it pays between $61,906 and $70,677, and everything you want to know about that job is going to be right there. Law clerk, nurse, communications operator, solutions architect, senior analyst. These are opportunities for you, even if you're not interested in becoming a police officer. But you can be part of something that still serves your community, that serves and helps police be out there to serve the community, in person. And you can help serve the police officers that, you know what I'm saying? The communications operator, that position is a vital one. They're the ones who take 911 calls and then dispatch police officers to go and help people. So all these are necessary positions. We value those that join us. And of course, we're a great place to work. Just in general, it's a great place to work. I'm very biased with that. but I truly, 24 years of service in various capacities, I still think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So here we go. More questions. Oh, it bugs me when things don't work out. Hey, I'm looking over here. I see Lovebug sent a couple messages. Hang on a second. We got, this is Instagram. Instagram never integrates, so I'm going to look over and give them some love. Once after I turn this off, here we go. My license has started to peel. I find it hard to get into Service Ontario to replace it. What is the penalty for a peeling plate? $110. It is one of those things you need to just take care of. A peeling plate that is not legible, is difficult to read, is going to be a $110 fine if you're pulled over and charged by police. It's just what it is. So is it worthy? Yeah, they're open on the weekends. There are locations that are open on the weekends. So it's possible to do, even though it's difficult. I totally feel for you. I understand why it's difficult. It's difficult for me too. I have to take days off of work to try and get all my appointments in. Every once in a while, it's just what I have to do. And it's not fun. Taking time off it is fun because it's playing hooky in a way. But it's not fun in that it costs money. But the ticket of $110 every time you're seen, if you're pulled over and charged, not good. What is this? Lovebug9441 says, what a day, some birthday, and all I need is a lawyer who can deal with appeals. I don't have anybody I can refer to. I'm sure somebody in the chat might be able to help you, but I can't. I don't know any lawyers who do stuff, and I don't know what even topic or specialty that you're looking for. Okay, Michael VLZ says I got brake checked when driver could have slowed down more easily and not step on the brake. I have on video what happened now. So what you're describing when you say brake check is an intentional maneuver to cause you to brake for no other reason than to mess with you. It's an intentional thing to cause you to slam on your brakes. If they had a legitimate purpose, if they were applying brakes because a flock of seagulls landed in front of their car and they were trying to avoid, those are reasons that people can use that are legitimate, like if there is in fact a flock of seagulls. But there may be road conditions. There may have been someone braking in front of them. It's not as simple to say it was a brake check. Brake checks are generally when someone cuts you off and then slams on the brakes, and it was all an intentional maneuver to mess with you. Then it's against the law. Now, if they simply slammed on the brakes and you managed to avoid it, could you make a report? You could. Will it go anywhere? Probably not, quite frankly, just because there's no, unless it paints a very, indisputable image of chain of events that we believe is in fact what you think it is. All right, moving along. So Dominic wants to know about slow down, move over. Slow down. I'm sorry. For vehicles that don't move over for emergency vehicles. So many cars not moving over for emergency vehicles can dash cam, take pictures, and send out tickets. No. Police officers need to lay the charge. Photographic evidence is not sufficient on its own. We'd actually need to know for that charge who is actually behind the wheel. So time, date, location, vehicle identification, and driver identification in order for us to lay that particular charge. Would I love to see a charge available through automated enforcement? I absolutely would. I'm a big fan of automated enforcement. So, yeah, if there was a way to do it, I would be all over that. But the law hasn't been changed. Like for speed enforcement, for stops, for red light enforcement, and for even school bus enforcement, new legislation or new sections have been added to the HTA to allow for owner responsibility tickets to be issued. But they haven't been done for anything else. Question that was from a guy from Toronto. And the question is there any laws that prohibit people from driving after a certain age? Is it a strict prohibition? No. After a certain age, there are requirements for retesting for whether it be a written test only or a driving test. As you age, you have to go for more regular testing, but it's not a prohibition. If you can prove that you are capable of driving, you are permitted to drive. My grandfather drove until he was 94. 94, still driving. He did get into a collision. I had a conversation with him. I said, maybe, Pops, it's time to pack it in. Maybe this was a heads up that could have been worse. And he decided to hand in his driver's license shortly thereafter. But it is a big source of independence for anybody, not just the folks who are older. And when he stopped driving, his health declined. His mood changed. Everything changed. So I think it's really great to be able to drive, and I want to drive as long as humanly possible, as long as I'm being safe. So the question from Brady Hambrook, what is the speed that you guys can pursue a vehicle that is running? So I mentioned earlier, if we have to go after you, we will go after you, and we're not required to maintain a particular speed. Police, fire, and ambulance are exempt from speed limits. More specifically, police are permitted to speed in the lawful execution of their duties, and that is often to pull people over, to patrol, all sorts of reasons. And the only thing that we have to consider is the safety to the public, and that's a big thing. So if we are in fact in a pursuit, well, anybody in that channel can call it off. The officer involved, dispatcher on the radio who's monitoring, and we are GPS tracked, so they know how fast we're going too. Anybody involved, whether it be another police officer, civilian on the air, we can all call it off if we believe that it's unsafe. And we're not going to go into a ridiculous pursuit over someone who's doing 10 kilometers an hour over the posted speed limit, even if that turns into something where they decide to run. We're going to identify them by way of their vehicle, put it over the radio, which is the fastest thing there is. No one outruns Motorola, is what they used to say, but a police radio. Yeah, we've got friends all over the city. It's amazing. People get off the highway. Other people are already there waiting for them. Moving on. Michael says, one thing I love about working weekends and weekday off or a weekday offer to is shopping at noon or on the weekend. I 100% agree with you. We talked about Colton's headlights. Pardesi Boy wants to know, sir, what about window tint? What do we want to talk about window tint? Window tint is one of our number one topics always, always, always. And the deal is that there's two different standards. One is that you can't tint your windows and get certified if they're more than 30% light blockage. It has to have 70% of the light being transmitted through the window. But even if you are legal for the certification for safety, you can actually be charged for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle, because that's a thing. If I cannot see you inside your motor vehicle, that is not legal, whether it be day or night. If I can't see you, describe you, that is justification for a ticket, $110 for obscure interior of the motor vehicle. Now, equally, we can also write tickets for obscuring driver's view, because oddly enough, you have to be able to see out your windows. And what is a standard for safety on the road, like if you were more than 30% light blockage, the deal is that your vehicle is unsafe for the road, and you could actually have your plates pulled. All right, scrolling down, looking for more stuff. This was a question earlier from Zuko, who wants to know if they can drive a bicycle on the highway. First thing, you have to understand that a highway is any road in Ontario. That's the definition of a highway, any road. If you mean a controlled access expressway or controlled access highway, which is commonly referred to as an expressway, 400 series highways and so on, those prohibit bicycles. You cannot be on them on a bicycle. So the answer is no. If you mean Yonge Street, well, the answer is yes, because that's not a controlled access highway. You still have to follow rules. You're still subject to the Highway Traffic Act. Not all charges, mind you, but quite a number of them. Okay, so Iran asked, hello, officer. I'm curious, does Canada have misdemeanors and felonies? So we don't have misdemeanors and felonies. It's a different court system, a different criminal code. Every state has their criminal code. Anyway, ours are called indictable or summary or dual hybrid offenses. So what does that really mean? Your more serious charges similar to felonies, those are going to be your indictables. Shoplifting, theft under, those are going to be your summary. And then the stuff that can be preceded by way of either indictment or summary are called dual or hybrid offenses. And we would treat those as indictables for the purposes of arrest, but it's up to the prosecution as to how they're going to proceed when it comes to court. Hope that helps. See, look at this. Michael is the man with the answers. He said everything I just said about bicycles, and even used Yonge Street as an example. You rock. Michael is awesome. Let's see here. I got other questions. Lots of discussion here. What is this? Can you have unrestrained passengers on implements of husbandry? So I'm going to say I think so. I am not the farm tractor guru by any stretch, but Sven, who was in the chat earlier, is, as he drives a tractor on a regular occasion. But he had said that there are tractors that have second seats that don't have seatbelts. I actually found a number of these vehicles, these implements of husbandry, and saw exactly that. The driver has a seatbelt, the passengers don't. I don't get why, but maybe when it's these giant, tractors, I don't know why, but it appears that seatbelts are not required. In fact, I've never seen a tractor like an old school John Deere from any. I've never seen seatbelts on them. Combines. It was a combine that I saw a seatbelt on. Stephen Bell says, "Hi, good morning. Good morning to you." Oh, a bunch of stuff just came in. Sadly, none of it is from TikTok. I see TikTok, but you're not. Anyway, it's a long story. Hey, if you're watching and you don't actually follow us, you don't subscribe, you don't share our stuff, well, what's stopping you? Please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us. Well, it really helps you get notified when we go live every day. And we do go live just about every day, except for the days we don't. Like this week, Friday and Monday of next week, because it's a long weekend. We have Colton with the headlights. We talked about this already, Colton. What color can my underglow be while driving my car on the road? So this is a more complicated question. First of all, there's no law against underglow. But when you install underglow and it happens to project light forward, well, you can't have anything but yellow or white forward. So if you are projecting forward, that's against the law. If you're projecting light backwards, and many people who don't do a good job installing this stuff do project light backwards, if it's anything other than red or amber, it's illegal. Can't flash, can't orb. It's going to cause problems with intermittent flashes of red light, and there's charges for that. My advice would be tuck the lights high up in the undercarriage of your car, and the only thing you should be able to see is a faint glow on the road. That's it. If it is bright, if it is distracting, you're probably going to get pulled over and ticketed. Best thing to do is use it when you're in a parking lot, because really the 1990s are long gone, and that's when this was popular. What do we got here? We talked about this. We talked about that. Okay, let's get some questions from TikTok because there's lots of people there. Lots of people talking about car stuff when it comes to theft. And I appreciate that people have feelings about it. What is this? What are the chase laws in Ontario? We chase who we have to chase. We don't chase who we don't have to chase. Public safety is the absolute priority. What is this? All around the world are watching how police is not doing their jobs and letting criminals do. That's Jean-Francois, I think. And a lot of people are misunderstanding the advice, but actually it was funny. I was watching like Sky News or something on the weekend. I saw a clip where Australians were bashing this concept of leave the keys to the front door. And oddly enough, the other newscaster said, well, hang on a second. We actually tell people the exact same thing. Why are you giving them a hard time? People like to trash talk the advice, but they don't get it. Everyone's tough until it happens to them, and then they're not that tough because it's a scary situation to have somebody in your house. I think it's even worse than someone carjacking. If you're most vulnerable at home, especially when you're sleeping. And anyway, moving on. Are we allowed to legally discharge a firearm in case of a break-in? So you have to know there's some storage laws, and the use of firearms is heavily, heavily controlled. Can you use a firearm for a break-in? I would say you're absolutely criminally responsible for that, and you're going to get arrested. Imminent loss of life, someone's trying to kill you or somebody else. Could you justify getting to your safe storage, accessing your weapon and separately accessing ammunition, loading it, and doing all of that, and then ensuring that it was you're looking for a problem? There was a gentleman who did do that. He ended up killing somebody. He was arrested. He spent some time in jail. Now, was he eventually exonerated, or did they drop charges? I believe so. But there are so many other ways to defend yourself. Be very. I'd be very cautious if not going that direction. This is not Canada is not a place that is handgun or gun friendly in general. What's this? Is there an actual minimum time that you need to be stopped before turning right at a red light? Is there a time frame? Do we count the seconds? There are places, I'm sure, like military bases that care. The deal is that you must come to a complete stop. Now, what is a complete stop? It means that there's no forward movement. Your wheels stopped moving. Once you've come to a complete stop, you must ensure that there is, in fact, a safe opportunity for you to begin moving again, because that's a separate set of charges. So one, you have to stop, and two, you have to ensure it's safe before proceeding. And then, and only then, assuming there's no sign prohibiting the turn, then you're allowed to make the turn. Yeah. I watch people run red lights all day long. I wish I could take a picture and send them a ticket, but I can't, because it would make me very happy to stop everyone from doing that. Let's see here. Oh. Here's a question about diabetes. And I put it on the screen. Here we go. As a type 1 diabetic, I cannot be in the military emergency services. Correct. Incorrect. In Canada, or at least in Ontario, we have many officers who are type 1 diabetic. They have pumps. They have whatever they do to manage their insulin and their blood sugar. It is not something that prevents you from joining. Now, I don't know about the military, but certainly policing is an option. The technology and management of that is so good. I don't know if it was a problem and then it became less of a problem, but throughout my entire career, I've known many people who are dependent on insulin. And yeah, there you go. Boom. Is a bicycle, oh, come on, come back here. Where is it? Here, as things move around. Here's a question about Nova Scotia. Now, I'm going to assume Nova Scotia is going to be the same as Ontario in this. They want to know about blocking your license plate and taillights. Is it legal in Nova Scotia? Well, it shouldn't be legal anywhere. I'm not aware of any exemption that say if you ride a bicycle and you're good about, pedaling stuff, then you shouldn't have to be able to identify your vehicle to the rear, nor do you need to identify when you're braking. Like, this is basic stuff. So I'm going to tell you that it's not legal. And the only suggestion I could have for you is buy a bike rack that doesn't block your brake lights and your license plate. Now, there are alternatives to blocking your plate. You can get relocation kits that are sold independently of the bike racks. European bike racks all include them because obviously it's lawful there or required by law. Yeah. So that's that. In terms of like taillights, it has to be against the law for covering your taillights. Just has to be. In Ontario, you have to have your taillights discernible at 150 meters. Putting a bicycle in front of them, I would say, reduces that distance of functionality tremendously. Now, I'm telling you that without actually looking up Nova Scotia law. But I think it's pretty safe to tell you that it would be illegal. Now, Spencer has a question about bicycles on the sidewalk. What do you think? In Toronto, and it is a Toronto-specific thing. Here we go, putting it on the screen. It is not legal if you're over the age of 13. So 14 and up, you cannot be on the sidewalk. 13 and below, you can. We're trying to protect young persons. So, yeah, young persons can be on the sidewalk. What do we got here? And Spencer specifically talking about talking Uber Eats bikes ripping down Queen Street. I think that, so there's nobody. And e-bikes cannot be on the sidewalk at all because you have to be 16 to operate them. And they're specifically prohibited from the sidewalks. All right, where do I go here? Where do I go? Where is it? I had a whole bunch of stuff just download. I'm going to cut and paste these into a separate document. Hang on. Scrolling back. I'm just going to take everything from here. Trying to manage. You know what? You forget how awesome it is when things work. I don't want to save it. Okay. Cues. It's making me save it before starting a new document. Come on. Save it. Gosh darn it. Oh, it doesn't like the character. Stand by. Apparently asterisk is. I don't have permission. Where is it trying to save it? Okay, it saved it. Now I can paste. All right, and it's in like using plain text or text editor. No fonts are a thing. Okay, scrolling to catch up to where we were. Let's put this on the screen because I think it's funny. Pell says, is having a terrible personality prerequisite for being a police officer? Obviously not, because I'm magical and I made it through. In fact, most of the people I work with are phenomenal, even if you don't like them. Giving you a ticket for what you did wrong or arresting you for breaking the law does not make them bad. It's a reflection of you. So, Pels, I'm sorry about you and your personality. Just saying. Dad jokes. Got a bunch of dad jokes that just popped in. Michael sent one, and Akela sent one because in about 10 or 15 minutes, we'll go to dad jokes and wrap the show. Oh, the last Yogi Berra quote in 2 parts. All right, scrolling to get through some more here. Would I be pulled over for going over? Okay, Cassie Taylor wants to know if you'll get pulled over for going under the speed limit. Okay, let's talk about that while I look for other things. And the answer is you could be, depending on where you are and what lane you're in, because if you're in the left lane and you're going under the speed limit, not only would I be concerned that you're impaired, but yeah, you're interfering with traffic. Your slower moving traffic needs to stay to the right. But it depends, because what if it's a snowstorm? What if everyone's doing 5 kilometers an hour because nobody can safely do more? Then that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, it really makes a lot of sense. Okay. The real, what is this? Looking for scrolling down. All right. Cowboy CA says hello. I say hello back. I think I figured out where we were. All right. We already covered this question. We already covered that question. What are the rules with e-bikes in the Toronto streets? I covered this earlier, but it's 32 kilometers an hour maximum speed possible on a flat surface. It is 120 kilos and a 500 watt output maximum. Now, that's not a 2,000 watt motor that's dialed down to only put out 500 watts at the time. It's a device that was designed with a 500 watt output. People think that they can take a vehicle that they'll do 80 kilometers an hour with a switch flipped and make that legal. It's not. It's not. Lots of charges that come with that. When does the tow operator's license come into effect? Is that April 1st? I think it might be April 1st. But I'm not the guru of that. Sergeant Campbell is, and he is not here this morning. He is elsewhere doing other things, which is unfortunate. I was kind of hoping he would be here. I even included him in the opening song. I talked about him. And now he's not here. Steve, what's going on? Steve says, hey, Sean, keep up the great content. Thank you, sir, and to you as well. Steve has some amazing supercars and great information in general. I quite enjoy your content. We never got along with the whole brake light thing, but aside from the brake light videos of years gone by, he's awesome. Okay. Al wants to know asked about the stop at red light, because in Ottawa I got a red light ticket and was told not stopped long enough. Interesting. I'd be curious how they came to that. Just saying. Putting that on screen. Very, very poorly timed adding this to the screen. There we go. No, that's not that. Here, this is the one I wanted to put on screen. John Frankly has a question. We'll come back to you. No, that's not what I was saying. But yes, Michael says, hopefully the good sergeant catches the replay episodes and misses his dad jokes. But this is Al's comment. There we go. So they got, how do you get a ticket for not long? I don't know what they would use, unless, your vehicle was nose down, rear end up, and you just sort of tapped the brakes and showed as though you were slowing down, that dip, but you never waited for the weight to redistribute and be balanced, a true stopping of the car. If you haven't rocked the vehicle back, if you haven't allowed it to settle, you never stopped. You were just depressing the brakes and then letting go of them again, but your vehicle was still in forward motion. What if you don't pay your fines but still drive? Ronnie731 wants to know. So you won't be able to renew your license. That's the deal. You will actually, you'll be suspended for non-payment. Steve says that he's apologizing for the fact that the Hurricanes swept the floor with the Leafs last night. Now, you something you need to know about me. I would have to watch hockey to know what you're even talking about. But the deal is that I am not a hockey person. I'm not a sports person. I used to like IPSC. If you're an IPSC person, then that's the kind of stuff I used to watch. A birthday shout out, happy birthday. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. On a 3-lane highway, can you pass a vehicle in the right lane? People tend to leave it open. Right lane. So here's something that, let me put it in here. So in a multi-lane highway, there's no requirement for you to not pass on the right, if that makes sense. The law that's on the books about passing on the right is really dealing with vehicles that need to, not on the multi-lane controlled access highway, but on a regular road where people are slowing down to make a left turn or stopped waiting to make a left turn, and all traffic is stopped behind them. Can you pass at that point off the road? Well, if there's a paved shoulder, you can. If it's not paved, you can't. But on the multi-lane highway, each lane is independent, and you can, in fact, overtake on the right. Now, one of the reasons we say slower moving traffic should stay to the right is because we want the people who are driving at the limit to go past the folks who are driving slower, and they should stay to the left. Faster, left, slower, right. But then there's the boneheads who are speeding, and obviously they're the ones who are going to be making very dangerous maneuvers to overtake vehicles, passing them on the right. Is the maneuver of changing lanes and overtaking illegal? No. If you're doing it unsafely, could that be something much more serious? Well, yes. So it all depends. Depends what we're talking about. Michael says, I guess the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Leafs, and he doesn't watch hockey either. That's good. You and I both in the no hockey game. Are rear giant window decals that cover the rear window legal? So here's the thing. Most of those are actually perforated. They have little dots. You can actually see through them when you're looking out, and you can obscure the rear window as long as you have a clear view to the rear by way of mirrors. Mirrors are even video now that there's new technology. Owen wants to know if unpaid parking tickets can suspend your license, and the answer is no. They can suspend your plate. You won't be able to renew your plate. You could actually have your plate disqualified, I believe, but it does not stop you from driving. Driving with suspended plates is a problem, but not driving. It doesn't affect your driver's license. It's different departments. Howard Paulson followed the host. Iman followed the host. Thanks for the follow, guys. Gals, people, persons. The best, okay, they win the internet for the best username. That says, never force a fart after 55. If a cop arrives at a catastrophic motor vehicle collision, then fire department shows up 2 minutes later, who's in charge? So when we are in control of a scene, the first responder, based on the way we handle major events, emergency situations, and the absolute correct name, it escapes me, even though I'm certified in it. But the scene command is the first person who arrives, unless they transfer that to another party. So the first party, the first responder, truly can be, until relieved, is the person in charge. And generally, they're only going to be relieved by someone who's capable of taking over that role. But it's not simply a fire department shows up and they're in charge. No. Although they might give up that. Yeah. I think I got to go do a refresher on that whole thing, because I cannot for the life of me remember what we're talking about in terms of the name of the course. Da Vinci. Oh. We got, are you legally required to provide identification when you're in the driver's seat, but your vehicle is in park? Yes. If you're in a motor vehicle and you are in a car, motor vehicle, you're in a car, you're the driver, you're responsible to provide license, ownership, and insurance upon demand of a police officer. You're on the road just because you're in park doesn't mean that you are not required. You are absolutely required. Okay. Iron Cowboy wants to know if I ever shut up. The answer is no. If you don't like being here, you should leave. We can help you, but no, I do this every day, and comments don't actually influence behavior, other than I put you on and actually identified you. We talked about this. We talked about that. Okay. Are you guys going to do something about car theft? We are doing something about car theft, although it's not my unit doing it. Incident Commander, thank you very much. That's exactly what I was thinking about, Gerald. Appreciate it. So are we doing anything about auto theft? Our officers often find stolen vehicles just being out on the road. So yeah, there's lots of things going on to both recover vehicles and deal with those who are stealing vehicles. But my unit is a traffic services unit. We are investigators of collisions. We are enforcers of the Highway Traffic Act. But we are not the folks that are we are not the folks that are working on bringing down crime rings. That is dedicated units that are dealing with that sort of stuff, not us. But we definitely support them. Like I said, we recover a whole bunch of vehicles just because people are driving them around the road. We're also finding all sorts of vehicles that have been revinned. People steal them, put other numbers on, resell them as though they were legitimate, but they're not. So yeah. Let's see here. We got Akela says, it would be a boring show if Sean was just sitting there quietly. It would be a very interesting show. Staring contest. Anyway. Let's see here. We got John Kern says, driver passes slow semi, only to collide with a car that was making a left turn in front of semi. That was the reason semi was slowing down, and he charges from. So obviously it's an unsafe maneuver. If someone does something like that, they're going to be held responsible. Yeah. Ryan, the thin white line interceptor, enjoyed Akela's comment. Let's see here. I'm from the U.S., but does it ever feel different with dealing with Americans with the license plates? How do you mean? I mean, we deal with a lot of Americans, that come to visit, and their license plates are just like our license plates. We just search a different state when we're doing our checks, but no, not really anything. We visit, they visit. Although I've got to say that I saw a couple of videos of drivers in California. Canadians driving into California, and some coppers were under the impression that you couldn't drive there without a California license. That was weird, but that might have been a one officer kind of thing. All right. Can you have a beverage in the back seat as long as the driver is sober? That's the Swaggin' Wagon who wants to know. Oh, okay. I'll come back to this. We'll deal with the Swaggin' Wagon here. And we'll come back to Skylar, who had a question or a follow-up question. So the Swaggin' Wagon wants to know if you can have a beverage. They mean an alcoholic beverage. It is illegal to consume alcohol in a motor vehicle, or drugs for that matter. And yeah, it doesn't matter if the driver is sober or not. Different charges if the driver is not, but cannot consume alcohol, can't have open alcohol in a motor vehicle. Now, Skylar was saying, is there a different protocol? Is a better question. So we can actually search. Our systems allow us to search American information. So really, it's exactly the same. Exactly the same. What is the fine for tinted taillights? Improper taillights or would be $110. Same as if it was headlights, or most charges are $110. Not all, but most. Oh, Eddie Smith says, this is obviously going back some, says, you want a seatbelt on a combine because some horrific accidents have been people falling out. I'm sure that that's a benefit. I'm not judging whether they should or shouldn't have one, but oddly enough, the pictures I've seen online don't have them for the passenger seat. Don't know why. They do have doors though. Maybe that's what they're thinking keeps them out. I don't know anything about farm stuff. I don't pretend to know, but I do have Google. Is there demerit points for tinted lights, or would it just be a $110 fine? You know what? I don't actually know. Let's have a look. Tinted, it's going to be headlight. It's considered covered headlights. So improper headlights is $110 no points. Would having a cover? I don't think there is anything. I can't find the charge even that I'm looking for. The only thing I see is improper headlights, but there's headlight covers. Maybe I can search cover. Drive with headlamp coated, 0 points. Drive with headlight covered, $110, 0 points. So no, there's no points. Lots of different charges, but none of them are point related. And people think that points matter. Points matter for the purposes of losing your license because the ministry tracks them. It doesn't change your insurance. Any conviction hurts your insurance. What about covers for dark license plates? Frank Greco wants to know. Any license plate cover, frame, anything is illegal. $110. Not allowed. Okay. And Emma was on it and said, neither are illegal. Yeah, you can't have anything. Okay, question is, how do you ticket people so fast? What do you mean? Do you mean like how efficient are we at writing tickets? That's electronic. We have printers in cars. Used to be held back by actually, I think writing by hand was actually fairly quick. How many ticket vehicles are there in Toronto? We have officers throughout the city. There's people on the road all the time. We have dedicated officers. We have the Division Zero Enforcement Team. We'll call it 20 people. I don't know the exact numbers they're at right now, but roughly 20 officers a day that are out there writing. But any police officer on the road can write a ticket. Just some, are dedicated to that. Other ones are multitasking in their downtime, which is rare. They're also able to do that. Owen says or asks, do you guys really care about car meets if we're just hanging out, not disturbing anyone? If you're driving lawful cars, legal cars for the road, and you're not doing anything to cause an issue or breaking any laws, then no, we don't have any issues with it. It's all about people breaking the law, being unsafe, and having vehicles that are prohibited for the road. Do you guys ticket for different things in different provinces like we do in different states? Yes, every province has their own traffic act. For instance, we have issues with tint on the windshield, but some provinces don't. So yeah, there's different rules in every one. Aha. If my muffler has a small hole, when does it become illegal? James wants to know. And the answer is when it's making noise. Like if we don't hear if your muffler just sounds like a muffler because the hole doesn't create noise, it won't be an issue. But if it's through a defect, creating too much noise, you'll get a ticket for that. It's an improper muffler, and you need to get it fixed. Okay. Pano says, so you guys won't chase if someone runs in a fast car? No, we'll still chase. We're going to get all the information. But here's the funny thing. People say, just run because cops don't chase. We do chase. We'll pull you over. If you fail to stop at that point, then there's new charges for you. Then we're looking at criminal stuff. You got to be really dumb to run from the police because we're going to get you. Okay, we talked about this. What happens if my dog bites someone who breaks into my house? And by the way, Skylar, you're absolutely right. Nobody's faster than the radio. What happens? So the question is, what happens if my dog bites someone breaking into my house when I'm sleeping? Then your dog defended your home. That's great. I can't imagine a criminal putting in a claim saying I was bitten while breaking into someone's house. Mind you, it's Canada. Anything's possible. Someone breaking into your house, I don't think we're charging them. Your dog's not getting a ticket. I don't think you're getting a ticket. My goodness, that would be interesting. But I've heard stories that if you were to do construction on your home, let's say at a staircase, and you didn't have a banister up, and a would-be criminal broke in and fell into the basement, broke their legs, you'd be liable for their injuries, which I think is preposterous, but apparently that's the deal. I don't make rules. Okay, question from Thin White Line Interceptor, a.k.a. Ryan. It's the car meet takeovers that are usually the ones law enforcement watch out for because it involves the illegal shutdown of an intersection. Yeah, stunt driving, illegal shutdowns of intersections, that is what we're after. People making it unsafe. All right. Velmano wants to know about an officer that was charged with stealing from somebody. I don't know. I haven't seen that, whether or not it's finished in court or not. Obviously, that's not acceptable behavior. We don't like that. Cops don't like cops who break the law and steal. It's not okay. So if that officer is guilty, then they shouldn't be an officer. What else we got here? Scrolling down. What is this? People talking about firearms defense. Yeah, I got nothing to add there. Can I fight a red light ticket if it turns red? Oh, hang on. This is a James question. It's a James question. Oh, Skylar, you must have been out of the room when I was answering this for you. The deal is that we have two different types. We have three different categories. There is indictable, there are summary, and then we have charges that could be preceded by way of either summary or indictable, which we call them dual. What's it called? I said it earlier. I've forgotten it now. Yeah, they can be handled by either way based on the prosecution. So yeah, we have those, but we don't have actual felonies and misdemeanors. But they pretty much match up. A felony and an indictable offense are pretty much the same thing. Similar. How many annual traffic stops does TPS initiate? I don't know. I mean, we stop a lot of people. We've issued, I think last year we issued over 200,000 tickets. So a lot. And then the question I actually tried to open up was James, who wants to know, can I find a red light ticket if it turns red as I'm halfway through and caught on cam? A red light camera is only going to catch you if you cross after it's turned red. It will not take a picture of you if you enter the intersection on a yellow. Not getting a red light ticket for that. Now, if a police officer sees you, you would likely get a ticket from us because it's against the law to cross or enter an intersection on a yellow light unless it was unsafe to stop. That's going to take the determination of a police officer to determine what's going on there. Determination to determine, yeah. Boop-a-doo. Velmano keeps asking questions about an officer that I know nothing about other than what's in the media. You have to follow along in the media. I am not, following these cases, other than I saw it in the media. All right. I saw a bunch of stuff. Going to grab a bunch of these comments. And stand by. Scrolling back to the top of my list. It is really annoying when things don't work. Okay. Talked about this. How can I apply to become a police officer? We talked about this earlier. You can watch this entire episode again once it's done, but www.tps.ca/careers, that's where you go. All the information you ever wanted to know and more. Dee Dee wants to know, what if I came to Ontario with my modified Honda plated in Quebec? So when you say come to Ontario, you mean visit? If you're moving here, you're going to have to get plates here. If your modifications are illegal here, you are not able to drive it here. You'll get a ticket. Like if you have tinted windows that are illegal here, you'll get tickets from here. If you have an exhaust system that's modified and not legal here, you'll get tickets from here. So I don't know why you think anything else. What do we got here? We got, when you're on patrol. Matt wants to know, when you were on patrol, did you utilize the arrest authorities when running into certain HTA infractions like suspended plate, not authorized stunt, etc., and hybrid? Very rarely. Did I? I must have, but I can't think of a time out of the blue. Most times, I simply issued them a ticket, and even if it was, like stunt driving, I have friends that regularly arrest for that and then release with a ticket. If they were cooperative, they didn't need to be arrested. But there you go. Dual purpose. I think it was purpose was the word that I was, sitting at the tip of my tongue. And yeah. John Kieran's lost or broken gas tank lid illegal. I imagine that might fall under the, what's it called? The Environmental Protection Act. I'm not aware of any charge, or I've never laid a charge for not having a gas cap. What are your legal driving ages? I live in Idaho, U.S., and you can get your permit at 14 and a license at 15. Here it's 16. You cannot operate a motor vehicle in Ontario unless you're 16, and that also goes for your e-bikes. But if you were to get a permit in Idaho and come here at 15, you would not be allowed to drive. Even if you were fully licensed there, you cannot operate a vehicle here unless you're 16. Lucky Looney says, if you're making a right turn and the light turns yellow, once you've already entered the intersection, is that a ticket? If you entered the intersection legally, so you were lawfully entering the intersection and it turned yellow from a green or red from a yellow, you've already entered, now you're obligated to clear the intersection. Akela says, missing gas cap will make the service engine light come on. Isn't that under environmental in the HTA? Yeah, I think it'd be a really weak ticket, but it's possible. Michael says, I support 18 for G1 and 20 for full G, maybe even 25 for M1. That'd be interesting. There's a lot of countries that restrict the size of the engine. Maybe everyone should have to be in a Honda Civic limited to 100 kilometers an hour until they're like 37. Kayla wants to know about unopened alcohol in the passenger seat. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. So is unopened alcohol allowed in the passenger seat or back seats of a car, or does it need to be in the trunk? It can be anywhere if it's sealed from factory. Factory sealed can be anywhere. If it's been cracked, if it's been opened before, must be out of reach of the driver in luggage or in the trunk. Do you guys also do a right turn on red, or is it a no-go at all on a red? It is a right turn on red unless prohibited by sign. You have to yield to pedestrians, of course, but complete stop, and then you can enter if it's safe to do so. How can I apply for police officer? We talked about that, tps.ca/careers. Not the worst nurse wants to know why police officers leave their cars running for all calls. We leave them running because they're running all sorts of equipment. We don't always leave them running, but very often we leave them running. It's our office. We've got to be ready to go. We're working in there. We're maintaining computer equipment and communication equipment. So, yeah, we leave them running all the time, or at least almost all the time. Jack says there are seatbelts for passengers in a tractor. Good to know. I didn't see them on the ones that I looked at. Can I ride a horse in Toronto without insurance, license, or a permit? I believe you can. I'm not aware of any rule that prohibits the use, unless there's a bylaw. There are a lot of communities that horseback riding is legal. But someone told me there's a bylaw that only allows the Toronto police officers to ride it. So in Toronto and specifically, for the road in general, I'm going to say no. But for in the city of Toronto, I think there is a requirement for horses. Had to think about that. What's the legal alcohol limit for a 19-year-old G driver's license holder? 0. You can have no alcohol in your system as a 19-year-old with a G license. You have to be 22 before you can have more than 0. That one messes with people big time. Can you be on Instagram Live while driving? No. If you're driving someone else's vehicle with a license plate cover, would you be charged to the owner? You would be charged. How many sworn officers does TPS have? I don't know the number. I'm going to say close to 5,000, 4,500 to 5,000, which may not be an accurate number. Any wrap in back and front light are legal? No. Your front light's not at all. The rear lights, the test is discernible at 150 meters. And if you're wrapping or tinting your rear lights, we call that a clue. You're making yourself less visible. Now, my buddy that I was talking about earlier, Steve, he talked about putting a brighter bulb in to compensate for it. That might work. But, the insurance companies are looking at it. We're looking at it. Okay. What is a fine for a modded muffler? Well, an illegal or an improper muffler is going to be $110. Plus the noise fine for unnecessary loud noise, $110. Question from John Frankly. If you got pulled over for going like 15 kilometers an hour and you're not wearing a seatbelt, but you have a burnt out headlight, but you're very respectful, kind, and compliant, will a cop be less strict on fines? I would give you a ticket for doing 15 kilometers over, not wearing your seatbelt, and having one headlight out. So you're looking at 3 tickets. Maybe a warning on one of them. Maybe. Depends on the officer. I can't tell you what any officer will do. The speeding, if I pulled you over for speeding, you're getting that. The headlight, you'd probably be getting that. The seat, you're probably getting all of them. Maybe. You should expect to be getting all of them. And if you get less than all, you're doing well. Okay, Skylar says, so if you're a new driver within a year in the U.S., do we also have to use the N sign in the back of the window as well? Oh, so if that's a condition of your driver's license to have a new driver placard, some provinces have it, we don't. I think it's a great idea, though. Tell everybody that they're a new driver, maybe they'll give them a break. But yeah, the deal is... the deal is that you don't have to have it unless it's a condition of your license. So if you're traveling here and your license says you must have that placard showing, then you would require it here, or you'd be, violating a condition of your license. Do you give tickets for people passing ambulance, fire trucks on the highway? You mean just for passing? No. Passing with the lights on when you're supposed to pull over? Yes. Toronto police, I don't know which one Steve is responding to. Any tips on a new G2 driver? Take it easy. Take it slow. Be confident, but don't be overconfident. Don't drive super tired. Certainly don't drive impaired. Don't speed. Follow the rules. Stay to the right if you're going the speed limit or below, because boneheads like to speed, but they will likely stay to the left. But that's the advice for new drivers, new G2 drivers. CorruptGov says, so we need our dogs that have guns. If you can get your dog to fire out, that'd be very impressive. What is this question? If I pulled over, can I wear out my seatbelt? Do you mean, can you take off your seatbelt if you're pulled over? I don't know what you're asking. If you're pulled over, should you have your seatbelt on? Maybe that's what you're talking about. Leave your seatbelt on. If we pull you over, if you're just sitting in your car, parked and hanging out, leave your seatbelt on, because it's amazing how many people drive into parked cars. If your muffler is not customized and has a rumble noise when you speed up at a light, is it illegal? Depends on how much noise it's creating. It might be fine. It may not be. Your driver behavior is the number one reason people get pulled over, though. I have a TikTok with almost 50,000 views and 1,000 comments about a red light camera ticket. Okay, that's Shane Link 87. The main debate is, do I have to wait a set amount of time to turn right on red? No. The answer is no. We've talked about this before on this show even. But Shane Link 87, I'm going to go to your account. Hang on a second. I'm making a note, because I want to see your video. So it's Shane Link 87. I'll check it out. Mean Man Menio? I don't know what we're talking about there. When is it okay to cross an intersection in the yellow light? You're supposed to stop. You're not supposed to cross at a yellow light. If people are passing an ambulance going lights and sirens on the 401, but in a different lane, is that okay? If you see an ambulance with its lights on, you should pull over. If you're behind it, you should not be following it, closely, but you shouldn't be passing it either. Do you have to signal in a turning lane? Yes, you do. Why are there a ton of cops out during the end of the month? I don't know. Is it coffee? I don't know. There's no. I love the questions because they suggest that people are trying to make up a quota, which don't exist. Our shifts don't even align with a monthly. That it's baloney. There's nothing at the end of the month. Okay. Technically, should I stay behind because they could be arriving at a collision ahead? Yes. Okay, don't save that. All right. Can I be driving 80 kilometers an hour in a 100 kilometer an hour zone? Yeah, just stay to the right. It's not unlawful. It's a reasonable speed. Oh, can I approach the police officer to his car if I'm pulled over? I see some people do it. Don't do that. Vel, don't do that. That's a really bad practice. Stay in your car and wait. Usually that causes people to, have uncomfortable conversations. Oh, some shops are installing aftermarket devices to run YouTube on infotainment systems. Your thoughts? If you're watching that while you're driving, it is distracted driving. It's a $615 ticket if you're using that. It doesn't matter if you install it. But if you use it while you're driving, you're looking for a wonderful ticket. All right, it's 26 minutes after. I've gone a little long. Apologies for anyone who I've not Hey. Sergeant Campbell showed up. I was just saying that I'm going to wrap it up because I went long and I was going to do dad jokes, but you're in time for dad jokes.
Well, I actually came in to tell you you had some work to do.
Oh, very good.
So.
We have stuff to go on. Michael has a dad joke. I cannot stop telling airport jokes. My doctor says it's terminal. It's not bad. If a cow is a herbivore and a lion is a carnivore, then what is the Cookie Monster? An omnivore. That's good. We got the last yogi quote, which is good. One of two. A lot of guys go, "Hey, yog," say a yogism. I tell them I don't know any. They want me to make one up. I don't make them up. I don't even know when I say it. They're the truth, and it is the truth. I don't know. These are terrible. Moving on. We got that. Dad joke. What do you call a thief coming downstairs who is yelling insults at you? A condescending.
Condescending con.
He's coming down the stairs.
Descending.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I like it.
I don't mind it. Condescending. Dogs can't operate an MRI machine, but cats can. It's not bad. All right. We are done. Here is the traffic song, not AI created, but we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, 10 a.m. Have a good one.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
So long, folks. Well,